Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about lace applique and embellishments. I've had so many questions about this, so I wanted to share a few tips and tricks that I use for sewing on applique and different embellishments on costumes. The most recent costume I used this on was the costume Anise from Guild Wars 2. And anytime I get a new commission, I like to get as many reference photos as possible so I can see the costume from all different angles. And what I like to do is put them on my big screen in my office so that way I can get a better view of the full costume and any tiny details that I might miss. Now the front of this corset has an embellishment down the front. And basically what I did is I took some measurements from bust tip to bust tip so that way I knew how big of an embellishment that I needed to buy. And I did find one online that I thought would work perfect for this costume, so I got 2 of them. So here's my 10 panel corset. I'm putting the embellishment on before I create the boning channels because some of the belts and the boning actually overlap the lace in the finished product. I'm using a technique called thread art or free motion quilting or applique, and basically stitching down the full perimeter and the center of the embellishment. And here's the back. You can see it's not very pretty, but it will be when I line it. I've already stitched down the front center one and cannibalized the other one for the back side panels. You will want to use fray check everywhere where you cut your embellishment. And then you'll want to take some pins and pin it to the project where you want it to be stitched down at. And then for the fun part, we're off to our sewing machine. Now I'm using a clear plastic quilting foot, also known as a darning foot. And basically what I'm doing is I'm stitching down the perimeter of the entire embellishment, and I'm trying to avoid any of the gaps, so I'm just stitching directly on the embellishment. And then what I'm going to want to do is go with my finger around the perimeter of the entire embellishment when I'm done. In little spots like right here where it's poking up, you're going to want to go back through and stitch that down. Now it'd really suck to get this whole thing done and have this centerpiece snag on something, so we're going to stitch the entire center of this applique down. Then choosing your path of least resistance, totally not kidding, this is roughly the path that I would take to stitch down the entire center of the applique. And again, while you're stitching down the center of your applique, you're going to want to make sure that you follow all of the detailed lines. When I was done, I had plugged in one of my photography lights so you could get a better view of what I did. And you can see that my stitching did not distort my embellishment at all. This technique actually took me a long time to get the hang of, and it was a lot of trial and error. So what I would highly suggest is practice, practice, practice. Well, that's it, guys. I hope you learned something new. And if you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comment section. Here are some pictures of the final costume, and this costume was so much fun to do. There was a lot of parts of this costume that I was really unsure of how I was going to do it when I took the commission, like these metal belt ends that are on the collar and the ones that go down in the bottom of the corset. And I looked for ready-made belt ends everywhere, and I could not find them. So I actually had to mold and cast these, which is another tutorial within itself, but I think this costume turned out pretty good. Now this costume did consist of the lacy choker, the corset, the skirt that's got 3 panels, this little shoulder cape or shawl, whatever you want to call it, and then a pair of pants that had the same type of adornment around the knees. And if you know me, you know I love an intriguing lining, so I had to put something that looked kind of vintage in here. And here's the front and the side of the costume, and then a side-by-side comparison. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, definitely feel free to contact me. You can also follow me on any other social media like Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, and Twitter. I do a lot of snaps of videos, short clips of stuff that I do, so stay tuned. And if you have any requests, definitely let me know. We'd love to help you out with your next project. Thanks again, guys, and happy stitching.